good day. We are the Group 9 and our topic is the gender, agriculture and access to water. So, here's we have climate variability and water insecurity have devastating impacts on developing countries that rely on agriculture for economic growth and livelihoods. Through loss of livestock and failed harvests can push poorer households into food insecurity and distress migration, with women and children left particularly exposed. Women have different access to and control over land and water and different responsibilities for agricultural production and water management. Too often, however, policies and programmers focus on water for rural livelihoods are gender blind and fail to consider women's needs and experiences. Paying attention to the capabilities of and constraints on female farmers is critical to improving agricultural water management and in turn to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals or the SDGs on poverty, agriculture, gender, and water. So it says that developing countries had been more relying on what comes to them, what present they have, and anything that anything could affect these countries' gross domestic wage relies on what workers and companies had been doing. Farmers are one of these. No, they had been throwing themselves to gain and to give what is in need. But casual casualties and irregularities of often occur in this scenario. There is no higher assurance of what could possibly happen. So climate variability and drought may occur and will highly affect water and water is the main route to progress the plans of farmers and to affect from worker to worker to landowners, investors, and many more. It could also lead to higher sufficiency. So next is water matters for rural women and men in sub-Saharan African or the SSA. 70% of poor people live in rural areas and are engaged primarily in subsistence farming. So we have number one, the rapid population growth means that many more people are entering the farm economy seeking secure livelihoods, since farmers are also frontline managers for as much as 90% of the world's water. Agricultural water management is central to achieving Sustainable Development Goal 1 or the SDG 1, the SDG 2, and SDG 6 on poverty reduction, sustainable agriculture, and water management, respectively. So, at this point, and on entering the picture of rural place and people lives, this show that population growth is highly affected this in terms of securing the daily needs, especially foods, water to drink, their home or shelter, which concludes that sustainable development goals must be giving in-depth understanding and preparing the lower states to be more efficient that to work is to live. So number two is the challenges are doubting, however, the ongoing 2004 to 2016. The El Nino event illustrates how flood and drought have devastating impacts on livelihoods and food security, and on development progress More broadly, climate variability is already inflicting high cost on rural communities, and this will intensify in many regions as climate change accelerates. These frontline water managers are rural men and women. In some regions, women are increasingly responsible for the farm, as men seek work in cities. Yet, agricultural water management policies and investments, as well as associated intervention that are critical to poor rural women, are often gender blind. More gender sensitive support can help women farmers increase their resilient, resilience, resilience and reduce poverty. Female empowerment and supporting women's practical needs and strategic interests will also contribute to SDG 5 on gender equality. In the longer term, agricultural water management is an entry point to shift the deeper norms that stop women and girls from achieving their full potential. So, says that as a lot of us know that a man work preferably than women's. We are only blindsiding ourselves because woman also is a factor of growth and weathering. As the SGD5 states gender equality, it only proves that women works lives and get that they want and what they need. Women should be stopped to reach their full potential and must highly presenting and throwing themselves to work. Okay. So next we are having our recommendation. So donors, development practitioners, and ministries engaged in rural development can address these vulnerabilities through adopting gender focus programming across three domains. Home and farm use an integrated approach to plan ahead for seasonal water scarcity and account for multiple uses of the same water source. Assets and institutions make rural development programming more gender sensitive and climate resilient through improvement access for women to land and water rights, credit irrigations and other technologies, along with education and training, mobility and livelihoods, support diversification of women's livelihood in rural areas while maximizing the benefits of migration. And next,
Women in agricultural water resource management. Women are important stakeholders in agricultural water management. They play a key role in water and land conservation, water harvesting, and watershed management. The importance of involving both men and women in the management of water, including agricultural water and ensuring equitable access to control over water resources, have been overwhelmingly recognized by international community. The 1995 Beijing Platform for Action called for governments to promote knowledge and research on the role of women, particularly rural and indigenous women, in irrigation and watershed management and sanitation. The document highlighted the need to significantly improve the implementation of integrated water resources management at all levels as appropriate. The resolution of establishing the International Decade for Action Water for Life also called for women participation and involvement in water-related development efforts. The Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, ratified by 187 countries, emphasized the right of women to enjoy adequate living conditions. Particularly, the revelation of water supply, housing, and sanitation, the platform for action adopted at the 1994 International Conference on Population and Development also underlined the linkage among women's low status, water deprivation, and poverty. The General Assembly resolution, the improvement of situation of women in rural access areas, adopted in 2011, urged member states to promote access to safe and clean drink water and sanitation to improve the health of rural women and children. It is generally perceived that the gender gap in agricultural water resource management arises from the gender division of labor and gender norms in society, which allocate many water-related responsibility to women while conferring most water-related powers and rights to men. Indeed, studies from 45 developing countries show that women and children bear the primary responsibility for water collection in 76% of households. Water governance policies and processes often fail to take into account women and men multiply water needs by their gender-specific constraints. For instance, recent data suggests that water allocation mechanisms give priority to agricultural, industrial, and power production at the expense of household needs. Current estimates have shown that 70% of the world water is used for agriculture, 20% for industry, and 10% for personal use. Although these dimensions are interrelated as agricultural and industrial use of water also affected personal and domestic use. Macroeconomics and water policies also trend to consider household only as consumption units, while women capping strategies to lift themselves out of puberty include the cleaning, conservation, storage, and preparation of foods, of all which require water.
Women and men use water for many different purposes, including domestic, agriculture, health, and sanitation, whereas men are generally only concerned with water for agriculture and livestock. Other non-agricultural water use includes personal hygiene, care of the sick, cleaning, washing, and waste disposal. Recognizing the various purposes for which these local water resources are used by different groups of men and women in the community would help successfully integrate gender considerations in water management. It is critical to find a balance between agricultural and non-agricultural water use and to foster more equitable and gender-sensitive water management and service delivery. Women remain largely excluded from decision-making process in the water resource management. In 2012, women held less than 6% of ministerial positions in the field of environment, natural resources, and energy. Decisions about water sharing, allocation, and distribution had between different users and across regions are most often made at higher levels where economic and political considerations play an important role. Water policies based on broad, generalized perspectives are more likely to omit the local knowledge and social and gender dimensions in their implications. Social and gender analysis conducted at the lowest possible level to capture the local context, such as the community water source, the sub-basin level or micro-watershed level, can help in understanding the problems and potential impact of the policy on different groups of women and men. Community water source Whether natural or man-made lakes, ponds, and irrigation schemes serve many purposes in fishing, agriculture, gardening, and personal hygiene. Agricultural water resource management as a pathway towards gender equality requires recognizing the role of women as farmers and irrigators and addressing their asymmetrical access to productive resources, services, and decision making spheres. It is therefore crucial to ensure that gender issues are mainstreamed in all governance and decision making process related to agricultural water resource management. This should recognize women as independent users of water and enable them to access water rights regardless of land ownership. This involves strengthening women's leadership in water policy and decision-making spheres, supporting their membership in water management institutions such as water user organizations, reducing membership fees, and broadening the mandate of irrigation scheme to acknowledge and include multiple water use. This should increase the efficiency in managing water and food resources, supporting women's roles as water resource managers, farmers, and irrigators, and ensure that women are empowered along the water and food supply chains. Provide women with technical training on water management, irrigation, rainwater harvesting, and other smallholder irrigations technologies. Establish, establish and enforce accountability measures and indicators to promote women's leadership in agricultural management, including audits. Enhance the capacities of relevant stakeholders from government, civil society, and development partners to understand and address gender issues in agricultural water management and governance.
Key gender issues in water and agriculture. First, we must know what is the role of gender in agriculture. Men have more opportunity to work with animals, stay out of their household chores, while women are usually in charge of light farming or agricultural production. Women are also responsible for childcare, and their financial and educational status can have a significant impact on their children's well being. So, in many regions of the world, women's involvement in agriculture has been ignored. Women outnumber males as food producers globally, particularly in sub Saharan Africa, where food security is a major concern. Farming systems administered by women have been demonstrated to be just as productive as those run by males. When given equal access to the same resources, training, and cash in some cases, women managed farm plots can excel other terms of productivity. Women's access to large AWM technology can enhance incomes, according to IWMI study, where especially when women are involved in crucial irrigation and production choices. So, this gender issue targets women, where women are the ones who's working in water and agriculture, while men is working with animals and staying out of household chores. Next is gender and food security. These are linked because women are the primary food suppliers for their households. Like in home, they do grocery, they they cook. Homestead farming provides a safety net for smallholder farmers' families. Women are frequently in charge of home, gardens, or cattle, which are substantially supported by domestic water supplies. A little improvement in reliable water supplies could have a significant impact on household food security. Gender concerns are at the center of the global water debate. According to the Dublin Principles of Water Management, which were created in 1992, since then, women participation in water provision, administration, and protection have been nearly mandatory in international water laws and programs. This has considerably aided in identifying the relationships between gender equity, poverty reduction, and water management. So, when having water management, they they conducted programs so they can identify the relationships between gender equity and poverty reduction and water management. In Asia, about 1 billion people are hunting for work, and the impact on rural economies is extraordinary. Men in particular are leaving rural communities in pursuit of better jobs and opportunities. Women, on the other hand, are left with higher workloads and obligations when men migrate, but without equal or direct access to financial, social, technological resources. Like when men goes abroad, women and their children is left behind in the house, where the woman can do all the household chores, taking care of the child without financial and social and technological resources support, while the man has all these three when migrating.
That's all. Thank you.